Okay guys, making a second video of the 1966 Mustang Factory GT 8-code coupe, 4-speed. Again, I'm going over it. I'll make one at this elevation just so you can get a decent look at the car inside. And I will make an additional one which shows the outside. As I said in the earlier video of the undercar, I believe the car has had a nose hit as well as a hit in the back. You know, again, it's 50 years of life, guys. And the car was sitting since 2002. Previous owner passed away. So what I see here is it looks like a radiator support was put on the car and outer sheet metal, all used, all right? You remember, at that time, that's what guys did. They went to the junkyard. Some of this stuff, if it was done in the 80s, stuff is discontinued by Ford by then, and also not available. There's no aftermarket. So that's why I believe we don't have fog lights back on this car. Fog light switch is intact. It does turn on the tail lights, so that is a indicator of a factory deal. But you can see here, here's the front end hit. Looks like it was on this inner apron. And again, into the radiator support. Inner apron is still intact, has the VIN number on it. VIN number does match the car. There are some alignment issues with the outer sheet metal, but the car runs and tracks perfectly. So I don't see anything underneath that indicates any, you know, anything structural from the hit. It was, you know, purely sheet metal. Now, as far as, again, I know guys are going to tell me, oh, the GT emblems are wrong. I believe this nose was purchased used, and the motor has been changed in this car. It's a 302. We'll go over that in a minute. So I believe it was just to embellish a 302 pony, and you know, they moved the GT emblem there. And that would have been the correct placement. If they got a used nose, it already had holes there for a pony, if it was off a, you know, a non-GT car. Now, as far as the motor is concerned, it has been changed. It's got a 302 in it, intake manifold, mild cam, Holley 4-barrel, rebuilt by the previous owner. No receipts to support that, but it's a rather long story, some of the people that I spoke to about the past of the car. So I'll get into that if anyone's serious. We put an electronic ignition in it. We did just what was necessary to get the car running. Electronic ignition, a fuel pump, a carburetor, and a tune-up and oil change. We also put a fuel tank in the car, sending unit. And again, just to get the car running, car runs fine. You can choose whether to just drive it as is, restore it while you play with it, or take it apart. Correct GT disc brake master cylinder. Car also has the correct manual steering box. I don't know if you could see it with the tag still intact on it, with the correct number. Also GT. I will take another video of this car outside, so you'll get to see it outside. Not only this. Moving around to the passenger side, you don't see a mirror here, but you can see right there where they filled the holes for the mirror. All right, so the car did have a passenger side mirror, again, GT. I'll go over the interior in a minute when I get around the other side. This quarter panel is beautiful. I showed it from underneath. You can still see the red oxide all inside the lip here, and actually up in the, when you view it from the trunk, you see the red oxide as well. Coming around the rear of the car. Again, I feel this car was hit in the back. I will pop the trunk in another video when I have it on the ground. But there's evidence in the taillight panel, and of course they cut this taillight panel for these 64, 65 Thunderbird / Shelby lights. I do not have the trim. It does have the correct 66 GT gas cap on it, an original one, not a repro. Trumpeted exhaust, again, GT. It does also have the correct support in the left rear frame rail internally, done at the factory for a GT. These lights do turn on when you put the fog light on, the fog light switch on. Even though the fog lights are not there, the tail lights turn on. That is something that's unique to the factory harness. The reproduction harnesses do not have it. And of course, if you actually come out in person and look at this car, there's nothing reproduction on the car. It was done, you know, even the work that wasn't done quite as nice as up to today's standards. You know, when this car was done, there wasn't a reproduction market. Let's put it that way. This quarter panel has had, you know, its share of body work on it. As I showed in the other video, all underneath here was, you know, sliced and spliced to get it back into shape. But it doesn't appear to have been replaced. So it's your call whether you work with this quarter panel or whether you put a new one. I don't know if I would take off Ford stuff that's workable as opposed to putting something from China on it. That's me. I don't have the, I have other ongoing projects, and this car has been in my possession for over 2 years now. It'd be better I pass it on to another owner because, I don't foresee doing it this year, and I don't know how much longer I can hold on to it. So I'd rather sell it at this point. Just go inside the car. Again, just to give an idea, this quarter panel does not ever show any indication of ever being replaced. You know, there's your spot welds. As I said, the car is originally Tahoe turquoise with a parchment deluxe interior. So, and it's actually a San Jose car. That's why you don't see a buck tag or anything like that up front under the hood. As I showed in the undercar, it's very nice underneath. Red oxide primer in a few spots is still visible. Interior's been sprayed over, and I mean, they just did, you know, horrible job. Again, a lot of this work goes back to the 80s. They actually sprayed over the dash. The car was a deluxe interior with wood grain. So you can still see some of the wood grain stuff is present. We removed the wood grain from the glove box door. We were fooling around with, you know, trying to clean up a couple of things. The appliques do come with it. I have them. We ordered them. Actually has a different shifter. I do not have an original shifter for it. It has a Mr. Gasket in it right now. There you can see the disc brake emblem on the brake pedal. Get a light. Disc brake emblem. Factory GT. Fog light switch, factory GT. And it's the correct one. And I believe that four-way flasher deal was an add-on in '66 by the dealer. I'm not sure how that worked out, but obviously it's not in the dash. But that's all factory stuff. Dashboard has had an aftermarket stereo put into it. It's not totally cut up, but it would need some work. Okay. Now, as far as the interior is concerned, it has a black interior in the car right now. Later buckets from like a 68, 69 Mustang or Cougar. The car does come with, I purchased a set of 65 standard black buckets that have been redone and a 65 standard rear seat. The 66 rear seat that's in here is fine. I just wanted them to, I actually like the 65 buckets better. I like the inserts better, and they were available at the right price. I also purchased a new black carpet for the car, new kick panels for the car, new wood grain kit. And it would freshen the interior up. If you're gonna use the car as is, with a little bit of money here and a little bit of work over a couple of weekends, you'd have a nice fresh interior. Again, I wasn't sure the extent of where I was going with this car, but I will tell you the car is, you know, judging from the way 4-speed GTs, factory GTs are going right now, I think the car is worth the investment. It would really be a nice car to go the full route on, considering there's no underbody work that needs to be done to this car. There's no metal replacement to be done. The floors are beautiful. The frame rails are beautiful. Trunk is beautiful. The cowl has there's no rot under the car. You know, all of these cars in the Northeast require $5 grand worth of just that work before you start doing anything on the body. So there are some alignment issues with the front nose. I think a little more attention can be taken there. You know, again, you know, this wasn't like a premium restoration in the 80s. It is what it is. The paint is an enamel job. Alignment's not great on anything. Window mechanism is disconnected on the passenger side in the back here. All right, I'll be making another video. I will show the trunk at that time, or actually, you know what, I'll pop the trunk right now. Sorry about the delay. Got an original set of keys with it. There's your GT gas cap. It is the correct one for a 66, and it is an original one. Okay, moving to the trunk. As I said, we found a, when I got the car, we actually found a original wood wheel. It is not in nice shape, but it is an original. Get a light. And as far as the trunk is concerned, when we did the gas tank on the car, we sprayed the trunk just to clean it up, but there's no rust anywhere. See, it's got some factory undercoat that was put on. You can see up in the quarter panel, try and get it. You can actually see red oxide still intact in there. I hope we're getting it in the video. I'll try and get it on the other side as well. Yeah, there we go. So I don't believe a quarter panel was put on this side. I think they just repaired, and again, you know, 50 years of life. They didn't do the greatest body work back in the 80s and 70s. It's, you know, it's what they did. Now, as far as the trunk is concerned, another item that makes the trunk a GT, and this is possibly the only spot that we're going to see rust on the car. This was where it's the left rear frame rail, and this is where they had a, I guess like an 1.5 inch diameter rubber plug. The plug was there and intact. It was just all deteriorated when we got it. And I pulled the plug out, obviously, to check inside this frame rail, because this is one of the things that makes a factory GT. You can see the support for the left rear exhaust that's put in at the factory. Again, it's internal in the frame rail. So it's not accessible from underneath the car, and it's not accessible from the trunk. You can only see it through this hole. This hole would need a little cleaning up, and you decide what you want to do here. Looks like a little water was sitting under the plug, and that's what you have. But that's literally the only spot. An example of the plug is on the other side, and it's beautiful over here. All right. I have shown the car from the underside in another video. I hope you get to see that. There's going to be 3 videos on this car. Now this is where it was hit in the trunk, in the taillight panel, and straightened. And again, I don't think they replaced anything. They just, you know, cut it in certain areas and stuff like that. So it would be your call. The taillight panel is a relatively easy thing to replace on these cars. But, you know, I'm not sure. Again, to get rid of Ford stuff isn't always a good idea. Not in my book. I don't think so. But, all right, that's the second video. I'll make another video of the car outside.